All right, guys, welcome again. And this is our third session. And we're trying to do two sessions every week. So previously we were doing only one on Sunday, and we're trying to do one today and hopefully one for tomorrow. So we'll be discussing an RC which has not been posted on the Facebook group, so that everyone is on the same page and everyone gets some time to read. I'll post the questions on chat. Once you've read it, you can go to the chat and read out the questions and solve them. Note down your answers, and once you're through, I'll give you sufficient time to attempt the questions, and then we'll discuss the answers. All right. So this is the RC, and I'll just paste the chat questions. I hope my screen is visible. Just allow me a moment to copy paste the questions. I have sent the questions. So we have question number 1, question number 2, question 2 completely in India. Let me paste that again. Sent. Sent. 4 have been sent. All right. I've done the full screen. I hope this helps. For those of you who just joined, we are doing a fresh RC, which has not been posted on the Facebook group. So you can go through this passage, and I have pasted the questions on the chat. What I'll do probably is try to paste that again. But I have to minimize the screen. Probably be seeing today there's no problem like that last time. So I'll just copy paste the questions again, and you can attempt them after reading the passage. Keep the answers to yourself, note them down somewhere. I will discuss all the questions one by one in the subsequent slides. question number 1. Question number 2 pasted.
Next.
Question number 3 pasted. Now pasted question number 4. Yeah, Ayush, that is the last line. It is visible to me. It ends at ocean, and subsequent picture starts from floor. It's in continuity. That is the last line which you are able to see. Okay, many of you have started giving me the answers. So just take 2 more minutes. At 7:25, we'll discuss the questions. So guys, this is the first time we are attempting anything like this. It's a lot of hit and trial for us as well. First time we did it on YouTube, second time we did it on Zoom, and this is today we are doing a whole new format. So if you guys feel like anything, suggestions are very much welcome. If you like these types of discussions, invite your friends as well. It will be beneficial to everyone. Okay, guys, just a minute more and we'll start discussing the answers. All right, guys. You can start your video if you want to connect. So, question number 1, and that was. So what is the answer for this? If anybody wants to call it out. The answer, I'll call it out. It's A. Anybody wants to go for it? Like, you want to explain why it's A, and maybe possibly why not B, C, D, or E? Anybody who wants to take the lead here? One. Okay. So the question is, yeah, go on. Who's this? Introduce yourself and please. Yeah, I'll read it out. So the question is, my voice is not audible. Naman, others, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Naman, I think it might be something at your end. So the first question says that the author most likely mentions the work of the Dutch cartographer Ortelius in order to. Now, keyword, the question directly points to certain keywords, that is the Dutch cartographer Ortelius. We just need to find where he's referenced. So he's referenced in para 1. So if anybody wants to go back, here it's in the first line itself and is nowhere mentioned ahead. So we will refer only to this para. So why does he mention him? A, to show the idea of plate tectonics is not new, although most evidence supporting it dates to the 20th century. Okay, this seems to be very accurate. We'll compare it with the other options, but prima facie, this seems to be correct. Why does it seem to be correct? Because here, if you look at para 1, he talks about the 16th century, that in 1596 he suggested it, and 1620 it was his suggestion was further taken ahead, but then it goes down to 1912. So that's a 300-year gap, but most of the evidences start coming in after 1912. So clearly this seems to be the right option. Let us see why others are not. So option B says compare the state of Dutch and English cartography in the 16th century. Clearly this is not the answer because the passage, the RC doesn't discuss cartography. Cartography is just a part of this passage which actually compares continental drift, finds out the reason behind continental drifting. So B is not the answer. C says draw a strong contrast between Ortelius's pioneering views and those of Wegener and Holmes. nowhere has the author made any contrast between any of these persons mentioned. So again, this is not the right answer because the passage talks about continental drift. Option D, show that cartography was sufficiently advanced in the 16th century that predictions could be made about continental drift. Okay, now this seems to be a plausible option because it says that predictions could be made about continental drift, and Ortelius does make that prediction, but nowhere does the passage say that cartography was advanced or it was not advanced. See, here the subject of option D becomes cartography, which implies that the passage is speaking about cartography, which it is not. Cartography has been mentioned to support the theory of continental drift. So nowhere does it talk about if it was advanced or not. The work of cartographer Ortelius is mentioned just to show that continental drift was proposed in the 16th century itself, though evidence came in the 20th century. Option E, argue that plate tectonics is a recently developed concept. Again, it does not argue or prove that or talks anything about it. It just talks about continental drift. So that is why option A is the right answer. You could have got confused with option D, but I have explained why it is option A. Any doubts? I guess not. So we'll move on to question number 2. The correct answer here is option A. Anybody who wants to go for it? I think not. So let's read the question. According to the author, the primary significance of the discovery that molten uprisings continually reshape the ocean floor. Okay, so the significance of molten uprisings reshaping the ocean floor is that these uprisings provide a mechanism for the continental drift that has clearly occurred. Okay, this seems to be the right answer. Let us see why others will not be the right answer. It shows how sensitive the Earth's crust is to Okay, first let us understand where is this molten uprising being talked about. So if you look at the passage, nowhere has the word molten or uprising been talked of. So where is it exactly that we get to know, or where has this been referenced? Anybody wants to go for it again?
Second passage.
Para to end.
Yeah, para to end, you're absolutely right. And it talks about how the flow. So here it is, the layer just beneath the thin earth crust flows upward, downward, laterally, pushing apart regions of the ocean, allowing them to collide, overrun. But little evidence existed to support the idea. So it talks about the molten uprising, but it says that little evidence existed. Subsequently, it talks about the evidence that started coming up. Like in the following decades, studies showing orientation of rocks had changed, and it helped confirm Holmes' idea that ocean plates were cause of rifts. So this is what option A is, that it provided a mechanism for the continental drift that has clearly occurred. Option B, it shows how sensitive the Earth's crust is to geological activity taking place beneath it. Okay, it does not talk about anything about sensitivity of the Earth's crust. So we will remove option B from our choices. Option C, ocean floor movement lends strong support to the idea that the supercontinent Pangaea once existed. Okay, this is true, and ocean floor movement does suggest that, but the significance of the discovery of molten uprising, this is the subject of the question, which is answered by option A. So though option C is quite close, it is true, but it does not support the question, which is why option C is not correct. Coming to option D, the movement of the ocean plate.
So, hello.
Yeah, go on.
So, like, why can't we, like, we can confuse, no? Because prior to this paragraph, it was discussed that supercontinent Pangaea existed once. So, this particular option is leading to that discovery. I mean, it is explaining that.
See, This option C is absolutely correct and true in context of this passage. The supercontinent Pangaea did exist, and the ocean floor movement did lend strong support to that idea. And that is why this option is super confusing. But read the question again. The primary significance of the discovery that molten uprisings continuously reshape the ocean floor. So what did this discovery help us to come to a conclusion to? It said that these uprisings provide a mechanism for the continental drift. So if you look at the passage again and go back to the passage, Sandika, you're right, supercontinent has not been mentioned, but common landmass or Pangaea has been mentioned. So it was easy to confuse there, which is why option C does seem a little confusing. You're right, absolutely correct that the word supercontinent is not mentioned. So that is one very small percentage, but you can negate it on that basis. However, if I were to negate it with comparing it with option A, that will be more significant because, like I said, it says that here, if we read, it talks about the molten floor, molten uprisings that are pushing the regions apart, colliding, overrun. But then it says little evidence existed to support that idea. And then in the subsequent lines, it talks about studies of the ocean floor showing that the orientation of rocks has changed. And it confirmed Holmes' idea that ocean plates were the cause of the rift. Okay, so Ayush says we have to look for uprising and not the ocean floor for its significance. I did not get you, Ayush. Can you just unmute yourself and tell me here?
Excellent. Sir, like the option C, it is supporting the idea like significance of the ocean floor, right? That the ocean floor lends the support. So it is basically leading to the significance of the ocean floor. But in the question, we are asked about the significance of the molten uprisings.
Yeah, but in the question, it is asking about the significance of the molten uprising, correct? But the molten uprisings led to the reshaping of the ocean floor. And that became the mechanism for supporting the continental drift, the theory of continental drift. So that is why ocean floor becomes important because it's A leading to B leading to C. Molten uprising was happening, which was reshaping the ocean floor, which helped us provide a mechanism or provide a reason for the continental drift. So everyone before that was saying that continental drift happens. Why does it happen? Because we found fossils on different continents which were wide apart. We saw that the edges of the continents were kind of fitting each other. So if you are good in world map, you'll see that Brazil kind of fits into Africa. So you remember that. So those were the suggestions which were coming up and that was supported by the cartographers. But nobody could tell us why that was happening. So someone suggested that molten uprisings or the Earth's crust, their molten lava kind of comes up and that separates the continents, which then float apart from each other and they crush into each other, which is why they get joined or disjoined. But again, there was no evidence for this. It was again a suggestion. But then the discovery that this molten uprising does happen and it reshapes the ocean floor. The ocean floor mechanism then provided us the basis of the why. Why does continental drift happen? Which is why we got to know that, okay, continental drift clearly it has occurred and this is why it is happening. So that is why option A fits in. Now option C, it says that ocean floor lends support to the idea that continent Pangaea once existed. It does, but this passage generally talks about the continental drift, not about the supercontinent Pangaea. Supercontinent Pangaea again is the evidence for or is a theory about continental drift, which is why option A becomes correct and option C does not become correct. Ayush and I think someone else had also raised this doubt.
Understood, sir.
Understood? Ayush, is it clear to you? Why we are actually looking for ocean floor? Okay, Ayush has also got it. Great. So yeah, we are talking about, see the passage ka theme. The theme of the passage is continental drift, and this provides mechanism for that. So I'll move on to question number 3. First, we'll negate option D and option E also. So the movement of deep ocean plates offers an explanation. Okay, now it's also offering an explanation for magnetic and seismic measurements that have perplexed scientists for decades. Here it's where I negated it, that it has not perplexed scientists. We are not talking about what has perplexed scientists for decades or the magnetic and seismic measurements. So option D gets negated. These explain the phenomena of volcanic eruptions. We are not talking about volcanic eruptions anywhere in the passage. So clearly option E gets eliminated, which is why option E is correct. Now coming to question number 3. What is the primary concern of the author in writing the passage? So the correct answer is B. Let's go why it is B. The primary concern of the author in writing the passage is to propose that modern maps are inaccurate compared to ancient maps. He doesn't talk about maps anywhere. We're talking about continental drift. So option B says to discuss the gradual development and acceptance of the theory of plate tectonics. That is correct. Plate tectonics has been established in the passage, and that has been established as the reason for continental drift. And the author has shown how gradually the theory came into place and how it was backed by evidence, and the theories were then worked upon, and then gradual reasonings came in. So option B is correct. Let us see why other options are not correct. To criticize the concept of Pangea as proposed, no, it does not criticize the concept of Pangea. To argue that all continents will once again join together and become one. Nowhere in the passage has this been said. So option D gets crossed out. To explain that oceanic sedimentary rocks are different from those found on land. Okay, it does suggest this, that the continent is old, the seabed is young, but this is not the primary concern. So that is why option B is the correct answer. Any doubts? Okay, so someone has put up a doubt. No doubt. All right. So now we will move on to our question number 4, which is, according to the passage, all of the following statements are true except. Now, this is very important. It is asking us to find the false statement. So this is kind of sometimes what happens in our hurry. We look for the statement which is true. And if option A is true, we mark that. So please make sure that you're reading the question correctly. It says all of the statements are true except. So we are looking for the only false statement. So option A says long linear zones of rock on continental edges were recognized long before fossils on continental edges were accurately dated. Now this is correct because I think in passage 1 it talks about this. Let us go back. It talks about edges of various continents. They might have been together like puzzle pieces. Evidence mounted gradually. So it came on later. So this is correct. Option B says mantle convection currents help to explain seismic phenomena long measured by oceanographers and others studying continental drift. Okay, yes, this does explain the continental drift. Where has this been mentioned? Anybody wants to go for it? It was somewhere over here. The theory of mantle convection currents and seafloor spreading became the prevalent explanation of the upward movement, downward movement, and collision of land masses, etc., etc. Option C, fossils of similar plant and animal species can be found on widely separated continents only in the long linear coastal rock zone. Okay, this is not correct because the passage doesn't say that it can be found only in these regions. So it does talk about fossils. It does talk that fossils of similar plant and animal species has been found on widely separated continents. But this line that it says that only in the coastal rock zones that these can be found, this is why this option is the false one. Let us go back to the passage to understand where it is said. It says these are found on widely separated continents and long and linear zones of deformed rocks occurring at the edge of the continents. So it does not talk about where these fossils are found, which is why this option becomes the false one. I wouldn't have gone ahead, read passage question option B or option E. but just for the sake of discussion, let's read them. The Earth's crust is a thin, hard layer of solid rock, while the mantle is a molten, flowing sublayer of the crust. It is true. It is said that it is talked about in the passage. Somewhere it was mentioned the Earth has a thin crust. Yeah. The layer, okay, the mantle of the layer just beneath the thin crust. It flows upward, downward. So if it's flowing, it's molten. So, and the Earth's crust is a thin rock. So it is very easy. I could have, see, how will the author or the question setter try to confuse you? If I was the question setter, I would have removed the line after continents, which is only until continents. So that would make option C true. And to confuse you, or just to see if you're paying attention or not, I would have said the Earth's crust is a not thin, but a fat, hard layer of solid rock, in which case option D would have become wrong. So you're getting it. It will be very easy if you're just scanning through, you will read Earth's crust is a hard layer solid rock. If you miss that word, you'll feel that this option is false, is true, and you might get the incorrect option. So you have to read each and every word in questions. Absolutely, you have to go through each and every word and understand that. If you miss even a single word, it can change the meaning and it can change your answer. So that is why make sure that you're reading everything. So here option D is actually correct, because the Earth's crust is a thin layer. It is not a fat or a soft layer. It is a thin, hard layer, as has been mentioned in the passage. Sea floors are younger than continental floors. Again, this has been mentioned. So we will not mark option D or option E, but option C. So I hope you understood the point that I was trying to make, that how the author will try to confuse you or to take advantage of the fact that you'll be reading very fast, and in which case you might miss out on certain few things. So do take care. RCs are, you can say they take your time, but you get to solve 4 questions back to back. So that way you can maximize your score, but it can also lead to you making silly mistakes, because of which your score will take a hit. So RC is I can say it's a high reward, but slightly on the higher risk side. So make sure that you're reading the questions absolutely perfectly. The passages you might want to skim through, that is okay, because a lot of things might not be relevant with respect to the questions asked, but the question should definitely be read properly, and each and every word. And answer for third question, yeah, that's B. And like I have been saying in the previous sessions also, that try to read with your lips. Don't try to move your lips. Don't try to read it with your lips. Try to read it in your mind with your eyes only. If you use a mouse to just skim through the passage, that's okay. You might use a pencil. Sometimes I have a pencil and I use that to skim through it. That is fine. But if I'm speaking, or even if I'm not speaking it out loud, but speaking it silently, if I'm still speaking, that will slow me down. So make that habit to read anything you do silently without moving your lips. So that ways, these are some tips which help you improve your speed. And some people have messaged me, asked me that how do we improve upon RC? See, RC or English is not something that will improve overnight. You have to develop the habit. You have to develop the consistency behind it. It's like your money. You are consistent with it, saving it consistently, it will start compounding after some time. Same is the thing with English. So start with just reading. You don't have to go very fancy, read up fancy books, self-help books or anything. Just start with the plain newspaper. It can be any newspaper. People sometimes ask me, I should read the Hindu, I should read the Indian Express, what should I read? Start reading by Times of India. I mean, you can start with any newspaper you want, Hindustan Times. Do not read Delhi Times, do not read the supplements which come in. Start with the front page. It has the news of the day. That way your GK improves. And in that, there is the front page article will always have a summary box. So to people, everyone, I suggest that you read the entire passage and see if you are able to come up with the summary. If your summary matches the summary given, that means you are able to filter out information. That way, what will happen sooner or later, is you'll start skimming the passage, looking for only the relevant points. So your speed will automatically improve. Then once you've started doing that, just read the summary box. Don't read the passage, and then try to find the summary points in the passage. So that ways you'll have a grasp on both type of RCs that are asked. First RC is where you have to infer or see what the author meant. So because you're able to summarize the news article, you'll be able to provide the inference or the gist of the RC that you're reading. The second type of RC is simple look and find, like this RC was, where we had to just look for keywords and read over and above and below it. So if you're able to find the summary points in the news passage, you'll be able to do that here itself. You just read the questions and look for it in the passage. So that is how you start. Once you have grasped or you have become good at reading newspaper, then you can slowly, gradually or parallelly start reading books. Again, no need to go be a very fancy reader. Just start with few pages, make it a daily habit, I would say. One, to read the newspaper every day. Second, if you can, just read any article. It can be any online article, it can be any book. Read it out every day just before sleeping. So that now that is something you don't have to do with keeping cat in mind. Just do that for your knowledge. Again, it will help you. It will help you develop a worldview of things. It will help you improve your GK. It will help you have conversations and all that. It will improve upon your English, and you'll slowly realize it is helping you in the entire VARC section. You'll be able to find mistakes in sentences. You'll be able to do parajumbles. You'll be able to do sentence correction, I've also spoken, and you'll be able to do RC as well. So that is how I want you to go about it. There's sufficient amount of time before things start heating up. So start with this, make a habit of reading daily, and trust me, your scores will definitely improve. So if you have any doubt, Mohit is asking me, can we read Financial Times? Any newspaper, buddy, any newspaper you like, just pick it up and read it. Try to use the method that I told you, but if not, even if you're just reading it for your knowledge, that is also perfectly fine. Kalyan is asking me, what is the LOD? Buddy, what is LOD? I don't know. Can you tell me?
Level of difficulty.
Level of difficulty. Sorry, I'm not that fancy. I would rate it somewhere between easy to medium, but not hard. Hard passages are those where the passage itself goes above your head. So you will take that. So the author is trying to put you into pitfalls where he's wasting your time. So he will give you passages which are very hard to read, or the questions which will go above your head. So again, you won't understand what the author is trying to ask. So it will be difficult to answer. You'll have to read the passage again and again. So usually I suggest that since it's the start, we go with the easy ones. So there will be 3 RCs, there might be 4 RCs. One of them will always be an easy RC. You have to make that habit of picking the easy one, going for it, because that will maximize your score, and then move on to the more difficult ones. But we are just starting out. That is why we are doing the easy to moderate RCs right now. With time, we will go on to hard RCs as well. I want you to start reading so that you are comfortable reading tough passages. So no point in doing tough RCs right now unless and until you have a habit of reading. Otherwise, what will happen is you will switch off. You'll see a hard RC, you'll just skip it. I do not want that. I want you to attempt all the RCs. See, 4 RCs, 3 questions or 4 questions, that is 12 to 16 questions on an average. So we can take 15 questions into 3, 45 marks. That's a lot. If you can score even 30 out of these 45, trust me, your English will be very good. Your English score, VRC score, will be very good. So for that, develop this habit of reading, and soon we'll come to the moderate to difficult RCs. All right.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah, Mayur.
Sir, if a situation arises where we read the passage and we get the passage, but we don't get the questions at all, the questions are too tricky and there are very close options. So, what should we do in an exam scenario where we have already spent around 5 to 6 minutes reading the RCs and reading the questions, but we haven't attempted any of the 4 questions?
So
We
see,
have already wasted 6 to 7 minutes.
yeah, that is a very fair question, Mayur. So usually what I used to do was read or skim through the questions before even reading the RC. But that comes with habit. So again, first develop the habit of reading and then develop the habit of skimming. So once you skim through the questions, you'll understand whether it's a inference based or just a find and tell me, like this passage was, the find the keywords and then search for the answers. So don't read the options, just read the questions. That way you'll understand what the RC tone or the author's tone for this RC is, and then you can go ahead and read the passage. So try this method. Your mocks will start soon. So once the mocks start, try this in 1 or 2 mocks, and then you'll get to understand what I'm trying to say. That you need to first read the question, then the RC, and then go back to the question. It might seem counterintuitive कि हम question पढ़ के we are wasting our time, but it is not. It will actually help you save time in the longer run.
Okay, so while when the question paper gets loaded for VRC, how do I go about selecting the RCs? Do I need to skim through the passage and questions for each and every, or just the questions first and select the RC accordingly?
So when I was giving CAT, I'll check with Shubham what is the current layout of the question paper. So in the left side we used to have the RC, and on the right side we used to
Yes,
have
yes,
all the
it is
questions.
same.
It is same. So I just used to read
Yes.
question 1, question 2, question 3, not even question 4. First 3 used to tell me what is the author trying to do, what type of RC this is. And then I go to the RC, read it, if I wanted to attempt the questions. If it was an inference based, see, inference based will take more time because you'll have to read everything. Whereas just find and mark the answer will take less time. So I used to go for the find and mark first, and then I used to go for the inference one. And in the inference one also, it is impossible to determine whether it's a tough one or an easy one, because you'll have to read the options, which will start wasting your time. So if you've read the questions, just read the RC in the first or 1.5 para only. You'll understand whether you're getting it or not. If you're not getting it, move on. Select the other questions of VA, of your para jumbles, LRDI, whatever you want to do. Select the easy ones there, attempt them. Keep these type of RCs for later on. Once you've saved sufficient time, that time can be spent on these RCs where you're not getting the hang of it, because you might have to read it and reread it, and you have the luxury of time because you've solved your rest of the paper. So in the rest of the paper, you'll not be screwing your rest of the paper by spending more time here. That was the strategy I used to implement. Again, too early, too soon to start upon the strategy. Our first thing and the foremost thing that we want to do is get comfortable with reading. We have developed the habit of reading, develop the habit of solving RCs. Even if they're easy ones, just solve them. Once you've done that, once the mocks start, that's when we'll start implementing the strategies that I'm talking about.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So guys, thank you for joining. And I'll try to come back again tomorrow. But if I'm not, then we'll meet next week. Till then, keep attempting the daily RC that are solved. If you have any doubt, you can post the doubts on FB comments itself. We'll try to solve them there. And if not, then we are meeting every week. So you can ask me here as well. Okay, then. Thank you guys. Thank you for